All right, everybody, welcome back to the Move podcast. I'm joined today by Mr. JB Hager down there in Austin. The other JB, Johan, where are you, by the way? Are you back in Madrid, or are you still?
I'm back in Madrid. Yeah, I'm back in Madrid since yesterday.
And who is our other the other guy we have on here who shows up sporadic? Is that George? George, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be with the team again.
Welcome back to the Move. Hey, before we jump into our show today, which of course is recapping week one of the Vuelta, which has been rather surprising as far as I'm concerned. Big shout out to everybody that came out for Bikes for Kids Uvalde. Obviously, we launched a massive effort last July trying to raise enough money to buy a bike for every kid in the Uvalde school district, or at least in the elementary school, certainly the one affected by the tragedy there. Just a couple of big thank yous. Operation Get Out, Steve and Cindy, wonderful. Ski Doc and staff, Mellow Johnny's and staff, Wish for Wheels, GT Bikes, SRAM, HEB, Jenny Carnes and the San Antonio Sports Foundation, Julie Hipp at the Uvalde Independent School District, Carla Raddick, also from the school district, Jay Carnes, and This Perfect Location, which we held it. It was perfect. The Winter Garden Produce Shed. The superintendent also came out, Hal Harrell, the mayor as well. And on our team, Dave Bulch, Liz Kreutz, Courtney, and Justin, who was going to go for a bike ride, but got so inspired the night before. He's like, I think I want to volunteer. Did a hell of a job. And all our listeners, we raised, it's no small feat to raise $250,000. You guys came out just firing. And what was really cool, and as we said this last July, we encouraged and welcomed folks to come down. If you donated, you'd be the one to hand that bike off to a kid. We had a lot of our donors come out and fly in. I mean, gosh, guys, they flew in from all over the place. It was pretty awesome. So thanks to all those folks. It's funny. People are like, well, what did that, because you can't say like, oh, that was cool. Right. You
the circumstances for why we were there.
Right. You always, you say, oh, that was a cool experience. Well, no, it wasn't, because we shouldn't have had to go through this effort and shouldn't have had to do it. It was special. It was bittersweet. It was certainly heartwarming. And hopefully we've gotten a lot of feedback from folks. I think the superintendent sent us a note and said he was out. What did he say? He was out weed whacking his yard the other day. And it was just, there were kids riding by on all their new bikes. I mean, mic drop.
Yeah, the town of Uvalde is small enough. It's bigger than I realized, but small enough that any one of those kids could get from one end of town to the other. And yeah, we're getting all these notes of just numerous kids all over town getting outside.
Exactly.
And for me, I was particularly sad not to be with the team, but it was actually really inspiring to see how powerful our show is and how we're able to do good through our show. We appreciate all the listeners donating, and let's see what we're going to hopefully raise money for next year. Maybe not such a terrible thing, but right. Just know that the show can do a lot of good things. So thanks guys for doing all that.
Yeah. I'll add this. A lot of the feedback we got, it's pretty powerful when you spend time with a family from the beginning and the end, going through, checking in, walking through with them, getting their helmet, their lock, picking out their bike. They put stickers all over them to kind of personalize their bike. And then you get to the car and you hear their stories, and numerous parents said that their kids have hardly said a word since the incident. And, out there, they just started opening up and talking and feeling a sense of normalcy. So that was pretty powerful.
The other cool thing is after the tragedy, I keep falling into this trap of none of this is cool. Okay. None of this should have ever happened. But what I thought was really special was after the tragedy, they got so much stuff sent to Uvalde, stuffed animals, school supplies, and they had no way to really efficiently distribute them to the families and to the kids. And so, by all accounts, there's a hangar at the small Uvalde airport that is full of stuffed animals, but they couldn't figure out a way. They couldn't say, okay, guys, come down here and grab a stuffed animal. They were able to piggyback on this effort. So that was sort of the last step along this process that we had set up. So they got the bike, the helmet, the stickers, and then we got back to school supplies. Then you turn a corner and there were just stuffed animals everywhere. So we were, as a result of this effort, we were able to help distribute the stuffed animals. I mean, some of the kids were more excited about stuffed animals than the bikes, which is great. But it was amazing. It was amazing. Our listeners rock. You guys fucking rock.
And not to mention, I met at least maybe a dozen that flew in from all over the country.
Yep.
These are listeners of the Move. And then Uvalde's not the easiest place to get to. It's not just, it took some effort. And so met some really cool listeners from all over the country. And thanks for coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's show brought to you by LMNT. We talk about it all the time. It is our go-to hydration source. As you know, it's the summer. Talk about hot, man. That Uvalde was hot. I needed like 10 gallons of LMNT when I got done with that thing. It is totally pure. This thing I love about it: 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, no sugar, no gluten, no artificial BS. And a special offer for our listeners: you get a free sample pack if you go to drinklmnt.com/themove. And this is how it works. Sample pack includes every flavor, so you can sort of dial in what you like the best, and also pass it off to some friends. Here's the deal: if you don't like it, no questions asked. You don't even have to send it back. Just head on over to drinklmnt.com/themove. Today also brought to you by HVMN, another one we talk about a lot. And look, we're going to talk about all the action in week one of this Vuelta. We know that ketones are being actively used in the peloton. We are, I think, seeing a noticeable difference. I love the fact that they're so prevalent. HVMN is cutting edge. They've got their new ketone IQ, tastes better, way more effective, and less costly. As we know, when these were first developed, they were extremely pricey. Ketone IQ has solved that. The other cool thing that you start to talk about the why and how this works so well. It is actually able to cross the blood-brain barrier, so supplies your body and your brain sustained energy, mental focus, and sharpness. Head on over to hvmn.com, and the promo code is THEMOVE20 for 20% off. That's hvmn.com, and the code is THEMOVE20. All right, Johan, what in the hell is going? This Remco Evenepoel, we've been waiting, right? All the promise, all the hope. We know what they say about him in Belgium. Of course, Belgium is riding a cycling high with the likes of Wout van Aert, et cetera. But that's not solving the problem that Eddie Merckx solved for him for so many years. Is, are they going to have a Belgian Tour de France winner or a Belgian Grand Tour winner? Mm-hmm. We might be seeing one coming on.
Well, I mean, Remco has been, since the moment he started racing, he had these amazing performances. Started off, I think in his first year junior, and at the end of that first year, he already won the World Championships. Road and time trial. At the end of his second year junior. World Championships, road and time trial, European Championships, road and time trial. And then, I think he was one of the first guys to turn professional at such a young age. He's 22 and he's already in his third year professional. Yeah. So until now, we have seen some incredible performance, but there was not a lot of regularity in it. He had really amazing days, and then 2 days later he kind of fell down or fell back. I think this year this Vuelta is the first. He did the Giro last year, right? But I personally think that was a mistake because it was his first. He raced back after his incredible bad accident in the Tour of Lombardy the year before. So this is the first time he has been preparing it properly with a full season with great performances, winning Liège-Bastogne-Liège, winning San Sebastian, combining it with training camps at altitude all the time. So I think he's at the top of his game. He looks incredibly in shape. If you look at his face, it's a completely different guy. He's really, really skinny and. What I've seen since now till now, on those climbs, it's impressive. Mm-hmm. The question is now, okay, we are now we're already 9 days in the Vuelta. Since we started on a Friday instead of a Saturday in Holland. The question is, can he maintain this? For the moment, I think he is answering the questions. There was a lot of talk about, Remco's not good on really steep climbs because he can't stand up on the bike, which, is one of the things. He's always seated, almost always seated. I guess he answered that question yesterday because this is the steepest climb I've ever seen until now. I mean, 3.9 kilometer climb, but I think it was 14% average, but certain parts of 24 and 25%. So
you could see on that climb yesterday. I watched the last half of the stage. It's steep when they have to cut grooves in the road just to channel the water if and when it rains. Folks, when you see that, it's steep.
Yeah. Not only that, but the descent leading to that climb was super technical. You, in fact, pointed it out, Lance, yesterday. It was just really narrow. And obviously those guys knew it. Alaphilippe was at the front, putting everybody on the limit. I mean, Roglic was probably 10, 20 positions behind, a position he's probably not very used to being. So just imagine that first kilometer for Roglic. He's already, sort of paying for that effort of trying to catch back up to Remco before the climb even starts to get going. So these guys, they may not have the most experience in terms of protecting the overall GC, but there's no question that in terms of positioning for small roads, this is one of the best teams in the world, and they're taking advantage of that right now.
Well, and isn't that the other, you mentioned Primož Roglic. I mean, that's the other big headline here because he came out, obviously he's supported by a tremendous team, the team had the jersey right away. He looked to be, well on his way to winning number 4. Mm-hmm. He's just missing some chips. I mean, it's not, let's be fair. We have, of course, 2 weeks to go and a lot can happen in a dynamic race like the Tour of Spain, but something's off.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I was surprised to see him even at the start of the Vuelta. The injuries were serious. He had 2 fractured vertebrae. And they must have had some kind of data to support his participation, because I don't think Roglic goes to the Vuelta just to participate. And his team will definitely put pressure on him to participate. But I read an interview of Marijn Zeeman, the head sports guy at Jumbo-Visma, and he said, he was surprised to see that stage win in stage 4. It was a short climb, not really. I mean, Mats Pedersen was second, so it was an explosive effort, and they were surprised to see that win, including Roglic, because I don't think he was expecting it. But at the same time, Zeeman said we do have our doubts about his form in the mountains. And I think that's now confirmed. He's still doing great. The fact that he's up there and he's in third position and it's not over. The question is now, does he have the possibility to improve during this Vuelta? Because, I think the times of, seeing guys come in a little off and then getting better during the tour or during a Grand Tour, we're going to see that less and less, because the level's so high from the start that if you're a little bit off, you're suffering so much that you don't have the time to, you need to recover from your suffering too much to get better. So I don't know. I mean, listen, he does have the experience. The Tour of Spain is his preferred race, but he's going to have a serious client to beat Remco Evenepoel and Enric Mas. Enric Mas is up there too.
Let's point out the fact that, I don't know if all the reports are true, but he apparently didn't get on his bike till 2 weeks before the Vuelta. So if that is in fact true, and he's just getting back on his bike, wins the stage. Let's also point out the fact that last year on the first cold, rainy day, he lost some time. Obviously, struggles on those tough conditions where Remco didn't seem to affect him at all. Being less than 2 minutes behind right now is still, there's still a long way to go. And a guy like that with that kind of experience has won 3 Tour of Spains before. I still think he can come back and win it.
But and Remco's no slouch when it comes to the time trial either. So you start to sit there and figure out places where you can get back. It's not going to get it back any time in a time trial. Remco can test. If not, the way this thing. I
think tomorrow actually for the time trial. I mean, and giving their condition of Remco and Primož, I think Remco is going to take more time tomorrow on Roglic in the time trial.
Right.
Okay. I think George makes a George, you make a good point. You know, if Roglic can come back into form, like you talk about, Johan says it's harder to do these days. And there's a lot of question marks with Roglic. If Roglic can get into his form and Remco unproven for 3 weeks, he's got to keep his head in the game, which Roglic seems to be very good at when the chips are down.
Yeah, you saw that they were trying to take advantage of the fact that perhaps they can get some more time on Roglic on these small little roads, maybe taking more risks than we'd normally see on these descents leading up to these climbs. But a guy like Roglic, less than 2 minutes behind. Let's not forget Olympic time trial champion as well. So that's going to be a good battle there in time trial. For me, it'll be really, really interesting to see how he recovers from this rest day today and comes into the time trial tomorrow, because even though he's lost time in those super steep finishes, it wasn't a complete disaster. Like, he held it within a minute, which is, pretty reasonable for somebody who was having a bad day. Maybe he just got back on his bike 2 weeks before the Tour of Spain. Still very impressive.
Well, it shows you that he's motivated. I mean, if you were just there to do whatever, you wouldn't be fighting like that. I think that's absolutely. If that is true, that he's just got back on the bike, then he can only, my sense is he can only get better, right? If you look at the final week.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. I agree with that.
I'd love to get more of all of your thoughts on this incredibly steep stage 9. We've never seen that kind of steepness. And think about it, when you guys were racing, you wouldn't even have had the gears to do it. So back in the day, they would probably look at a climb like that and go, no, that's too steep, because you're not even capable. Now it changes the dynamics of what's possible in a race. They're probably seeking out these steeper things with the new gearing and a whole new mindset.
But they in the future, I mean, who knows how they select these courses in the future, but they are going, my impression and my opinion is that they are going to have to, because this, and I'll just compare to the game of golf, where so many guys got so good and were hitting the ball so much farther, and they were just, the field was destroying golf courses, even Augusta National. So what did they do? They had to lengthen. They had to buy extra land and lengthen the fairways and make the course harder. This is the same thing in cycling. This field is so good now, and they're all the level is so high that, I mean, what if you think about, again, comparing to that? How are you going to make it harder? You can make it longer? No. You have to we're going to have to start finding these 20-25% climbs in order, because you roll out these little 7-8%ers. They're all going to stay together. They're all that good. You can't drop people. You got to find these epic steep climbs to have some dynamics and to create some selection.
And they seem to be throwing them in more into the Vuelta and the Giro, not so much the Tour. The Tour sticks with the historical climbs for now. But yeah, for sure, the Vuelta and the Giro that's coming up with steeper and steeper climbs. In fact, Dylan just pointed out that you guys in 99 at the Vuelta and the Angliru used the 39.27. Which I can't imagine.
So 99 was the first time they got the Angliru in the Vuelta. And we, I don't know, maybe Dylan is right, because we had, I mean, back then we didn't have the access to, not even the quantity that we wanted. We were a small team. We were Shimano. I do remember that at least 3 or 4 riders we mounted a triple chainring.
Yeah, Christian pointed that out as well. He did all the triple.
All the teams did, but probably Dylan, we didn't have enough. Probably that he probably right that we didn't have enough.
Dylan walk? If he walked, that'd be kind of a good story.
We'll have to ask him.
Oh my God,
he definitely dabbed at some point.
That would be Instagram gold. Picture of Dylan Casey walking up the Angliru.
Well, let me ask you this: do you guys like this? I'm thinking about the sprinters that have to get over these insane climbs. Do you like where this is going? More of this?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to.
No, I don't like it. I don't.
Why?
Well, because,
what? What do you want? You want these guys all to stay together and it'd be boring as shit?
No. But because I think personally that on real mountain stages, like with longer climbs, you can take a lot more time because at the end, those steep climbs, you don't get that much advantage. look, yesterday, for example, Roglic was in trouble quite early, compared not with Remco, but with Enric Mas and with these other two young guys. And finally, he could manage. He stayed within 15 seconds of these guys. A climb like even on the Angliru, everybody has his own pace. And they all, there's not that, the differences are not that big. Plus, okay, nowadays it's different because you basically have one set of gears and you can do the whole season with it. You can have a 34 or 36 in the front and a 30 or 32 in the back, and you can go everywhere. I don't know where
we're going to have to find a hybrid solution. You can still have, by the way, George, to your point, the reason these are more common in the Tour of Spain and the Tour of Italy is because those countries have those roads. France does not have a lot. I've ridden a lot of roads in France, unless I'm missing something. Obviously we have the epicness of the Alps and the Pyrenees and the things like Ventoux, climbs like Ventoux, but there is not a lot. There is not Mortirolos and Angliru's in France.
That's true.
They're not there.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Today's show also brought to you by Athletic Greens. Check it right here, guys. I got a little bit to go every day. It's like religion for me. My AG1, by the way, they've been rebranded as AG1. But it's take control of your health is really the message. It's what I did. It's been reformulated, I think 50 plus times. They're just constantly striving to make this product better and better. It's proven to work. I was listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast the other day, and he was just raving about AG1. Over 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to start your day off right, all for less than $3 a day. Here we'll make it easy for you. Head on over to athleticgreens.com/themove. They'll give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. And they send you this little bottle here. Look at that. I got a little left to go. I should probably finish it. See? Mm-hmm. Ooh, it actually tastes pretty damn good. Also today brought to you by HELIX Sleep. We've been sleeping in this mattress. Not we. I.
As well.
That Dumb and Dumber thing was a real hit on the internet. What do you imagine,
JB,
George and I just spooning up? You guys want George and Lance spooned up on a HELIX mattress?
With our PJs?
That's right, with our Attitude PJs. They've done a really cool thing. They completely customize the mattress for you. You go on their website, you take a 2-minute, essentially a sleep quiz. You talk about your sleep, your characteristics of sleep. They totally customize the mattress and drop ship it right to your front doorstep. Pretty amazing. I've been on it. I think it's close to a year now. It's totally changed the quality of my sleep. Don't take it from me or us. Both Wired Magazine and GQ have named it the #1 best overall mattress in years past. Head on over to helixsleep.com/themove. Take the 2-minute sleep quiz. And right now, special offer for our listeners, up to $200 off all mattress order and 2 free pillows. That's helixsleep.com/themove. And we'll be working. I had a funny thought. Never mind. George, it's great to see you back, George.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back.
It was, the group message yesterday was, JB, what time should we do the show? And I was like, this time works best for me. I was just waiting for George. I can't do that. Can't do that. And then, you throw out another time. I can't do that either.
Well, I respond. I'll be there. No issues.
It's like winning the fucking lottery.
Johan, we touched a little bit on the young riders. Why don't you talk about these guys that you pointed out a long time ago, how well they're doing, how they're battling it out right now to be the next king of Spain, so to speak. Of course, behind Enric Mas, but these guys are incredibly impressive right now.
Yeah, the Juan Ayuso is 19 years old. He won the Baby Giro last year. Huge dominance. And this guy just, came into professionals and rides and acts and speaks as a guy who has been there forever. Actually, if you see yesterday, he didn't really follow. He started to accelerate before Remco. And Carlos Rodriguez, he's 21. He's already like a veteran because he's in his 2.5 year professional already. But those two guys are definitely what Spain needs. If we look at, if we think about Spain in terms of stage racing in the last 15 years, they were really, really dominant, and there's nobody now. I mean, we have Mikel Landa, who finished third in the Giro twice and 2 times fourth in the Tour, but that's not what Spain is used to. And these two guys are really, they're really good, really good.
And just right. Sorry. Well, I was just going to remind folks, when we did our up and comers show last winter, these were, of course, our crystal ball, Johan Bruneel, doesn't miss. These were 2 kids that you had on your list. Also, Johan, just want to remind you and point it out that a tweet you put up going back March 2nd of this year, the performance of Remco Evenepoel in today's first stage of the Tour of Valencia is one of a future Grand Tour winner. There, I've said it. You just got this shit dialed, man.
Well, no, I mean, listen, everybody knows the potential of Remco, but there were, and until before this Vuelta, there were a lot of doubters, let's say, okay, Remco's good in one-day races. He's good in, 1 week stage races, but, in the big mountains, he has never, and it's true, he had never been in the front in big mountain stages, at least not at this level. But I know the guy's really determined. I think it's difficult to find a guy who's more obsessed with cycling and wanting to be the best than Remco Evenepoel. He does everything he can. He sacrifices his life basically to be the best cyclist in the world. For the moment, I have to say it looks good. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. He's discovering himself now. And every 2-3 days, he is in an unknown terrain again. And but the way it goes, I think he'll be up there.
Speaking of discovering, and sorry, Georgie, you want to say something more about Remco?
Well, more about the team is that obviously Quickstep is one of the best teams in the world. But what about their experience in protecting the overall lead in a Grand Tour? I mean, are we questioning that? Obviously, they have Alaphilippe, just world champion, no slouch there, and they've been doing an amazing job thus far. What do you think their attitude is going into this rest day and looking forward to the next 2 weeks to come?
I think it's more or less the same. They have never done this before, like defending a leader's jersey in a Grand Tour. They do have Alaphilippe. I don't know if Alaphilippe is the ideal guy to lead the team in this, because he looks like he's really. I mean, he's a nervous guy. He does an amazing job on those last climbs, setting the tempo and being. I wonder if we've ever seen this before. Actually, a world champion who is this kind of ideal teammate and just gives it all until basically he has to go on the side, basically almost falls off his bike. But I think they're strong enough. They lost a rider yesterday, Peter Seri. But on the other hand, I think there's no, at this point in the season, there's no team who have all of their 8 guys 100%. Jumbo-Visma also lost a guy, Sepp Kuss. And so I think they have 3-4 guys there who can really be supporting Remco and bring it to a good end. They're discovering it together.
Well, it just begs the conversation if he can continue performing like this, right? Begs the conversation of the Tour de France and this whole crop of, as far as I'm concerned, throw all these young guys in there, and Tom Pidcock can develop into a Grand Tour rider. And I mean, you imagine years, 2-3 years down the road, and not to mention the Ayusos, who's, come on, 19 years old, all these people, you're going to have 10 guys duking it out for a yellow jersey.
Yeah. We have this young guy in Belgium also. I think we talked about him in the spring show about the young guys also. He's 19. It's, he's supposed to be the next Remco, Sian Uiterbroeks.
Does that mean outside your pants?
Yes. I know.
That means
yes.
that shows I'm
out
just
of the pants. It's out of the pants.
That's a subtle flex that my Flemish is good enough to know that this poor kid's name is out.
You're on first Belgian to win Avenir, right? In like 40 years or something. Is that correct?
He won the Tour de l'Avenir. Yeah, no, it's the fourth Belgian guy who wins the Tour de l'Avenir.
But it's been a while though, right? I mean, it's
no, 2008 was Jan Bakelands. And then 1990 was yours truly. Did you know that, George? Did you know that?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
I think it's interesting, Johan, you say this guy's the next Remco, and we're seeing Remco just now getting to be
that's crazy
himself, and they're already making that comparison.
That's crazy. I don't think it's the next Remco. It's a completely different rider, but here's the same thing like Ayuso. He's 19. He is already on Bora, as a professional. And he was on the same, so he's 2 years younger than Remco, and he was on the same junior team. And that's where we get this information from. This is the next Remco, because his numbers, his testing results were better than those from Remco when at that age, when they were 17 years old. So,
speaking of,
those two young guys, sorry, Lance, Ayuso and Rodriguez. It's going to be interesting to see, how far they can go. I think this is a Vuelta for young guys. We see that the Landas, the Carapaz, they're not there. And these young guys, they don't know what the end of their potential is, but for the moment, if Remco's in first, you have a guy who is 21 who's in fourth, and a guy who's 90 who's in fifth after 9 days of racing. I think it's going to keep going this way.
Yeah. Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't before we end today. We'd be remiss if we didn't touch on Sam Bennett, who we were talking about rediscovering. Well, the man seems to have rediscovered his sprint game.
Yeah, I mean, he was, 2 years that we didn't see the Sam Bennett that we used to see. Definitely not the Sam Bennett that won 4 stages in the Tour and won the green jersey. And we talked about it in outcomes the first 2 days. When we said, Sam Bennett, we haven't seen anything. And I said to Spencer Martin, I said, the Tour of Spain often is the race of guys who come back. After a period of he won those first 2 bunch sprints. It's not the same sprint rivals as in the Tour de France, but he's in good shape again. I mean, he gets over the climbs better than he has in the last 2 years. So it's really a nice start of the Vuelta for Sam Bennett to win those 2 sprints. And I think there's more sprint stages to come.
And where does this, what you've seen in the first week, Johan, what do you think the impact of the results so far has on this? Because we talked a lot about it, this relegation watch, right? So the teams that are on the bubble to get downgraded. Any impact here? Any movers there?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest, the team that's under most stress is Movistar. So they have to bank everything on a GC classification of Enric Mas. If he would be second or third, and a few top places, that probably gives him 400 points. At the same time, if you look yesterday, for example, Lotto, who is the first team which is relegated for now, they had a day yesterday there was the Plouet yesterday, which was won by Wout van Aert. There was the Tour of Germany. They had 325 points in one day yesterday. You have to be podium in the Vuelta for this. Right. But I mean, this battle is going to be fought in the one-day races. They have the Canadian races now that are coming up, or World Tour races. Lots of points to gain. So it's a big risk to bet on the Vuelta for the points, because you have to wait until the last day and then hope that your guy has a good GC. Whereas Movistar, they don't have that many other riders to score points in those other races.
I think Johan said months ago these teams facing relegation should look at other races.
Exactly.
Don't go to the Vuelta. You said that sometime ago.
Movistar has to, right? Movistar has to, and I think we also should, say, okay, really nice job of Enric Mas, because the way he was riding in the Tour was below his expectations, below his level. Had to abandon, and less than 4 weeks later be back and be in second place, the only guy until now who has been able to follow Remco on some occasions. That's a proof that Enric Mas is really a Tour of Spain rider. He already finished 2 times second, and he's on his way to another podium.
All right, we got to talk Jay Vine. This is a name that has never been mentioned on this show, to my knowledge. 2 wins already. And he climbs like Remco. He's sitting and effortless looking. What do we know about this kid?
Well, we know
he won the Zwift Academy, which especially for people like us who pride ourselves as being like really good positioners in the peloton, and about being able to read a race. When you see these things like Zwift Academy, obviously it takes a lot of power, a very talented cyclist to be able to win something like that, because it's a global event, but at the same time doesn't always or necessarily translate to the road. But to see what he's doing now is just absolutely spectacular. He's one of the best climbers in the world. He's obviously can read a race. He can make the breakaways. What a incredible signing for Alpecin, and what a great program that Zwift put together. Find this guy.
Yeah. I mean, he won that Zwift Academy competition, and Alpecin made the commitment with Zwift to give the winner of that competition a contract. I do remember that the first 1.5 year, he had he had a lot of problems in the peloton. There's a famous YouTube video out there somewhere where he's getting a bottle from the car. He didn't know how to get a bottle. He crashes while he gets a bottle next to the car. So this guy had to learn a lot, and he did learn a lot, because now he obviously doesn't have that much of a problem anymore. Of course, in the third Grand Tour of the year, if you're strong and if you're in good shape, it helps a lot, right? I mean, if you're strong, you're automatically in the front. But the way he rode those 2 last climbs, man, I mean, the second win, he came from a breakaway, right? But the first one, he didn't. He came from the main group.
Yeah.
And he he got away. He's not a supervised guy, but still, once he got away and then Remco started his attack, Remco almost didn't take any time back on him. And it was 2 times super steep. So it's one of those guys, he must have an incredible power, because I've not seen him out of the saddle once on those steep climbs. Yesterday he tried to go in the breakaway when he saw he couldn't go in the breakaway. He lost a lot of time. So I think that's a shame, because with the legs he had, even if he has lost time in the first 3 stages, the flat stages, I still think this guy with the legs he has, he could be top 5 in the Vuelta. So he has given up on that, and he definitely I think he's going to try to win another stage, and it's not impossible.
Wow. Well, we shall see.
We shall see indeed.
Yeah.
Do you have a podium prediction, Johan?
Well,
I know, and I know people need to go to outcomes. If you want to get more of the predictions and action there, that's the place. We do .team, but just from what you've seen in 9 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the pre-show I talked about Hindley and Carapaz. That's not going to happen, obviously. It's curious to see that the guys, the podium of the Giro. Normally Giro and Vuelta is a good combination. You can go full in the Giro, you have your time off, and then can prepare for the Vuelta. None of those 3, neither Hindley or Carapaz or Landa, or anywhere near their form of the Giro. I think the podium is basically what we're seeing right now. It's Remco and Enric Mas and Roglic. I think Roglic, due to his palmares and his toughness, I think he's going to stay up there. Don't know in which order yet. I think for the moment, everybody from second place till third, fourth, fifth place, they are racing, hoping that Remco's going to have a bad day. That's their hope right now. They're not thinking about attacking him because they can't. And I think that's basically what's going to happen. If Remco doesn't have a bad day, I can't see who can beat him.
Yeah, let's talk about quickly the change in terrain and climate. I mean, they're going from arguably one of the wettest, coldest spots of Spain right now to the Costa Blancas. It's going to be a completely different change in weather and temperature. So it'll be interesting to see how the riders react from that change.
That's another unknown terrain for Evenepoel, for example. No, but they said, okay, he can't win in the high mountains. He already did. He can't go up steep climbs. He did.
Right.
And now it's the heat. So we'll see how he passes that exam.
I'm backing him, and I think mentally he's I don't know the kid, but he seems like he's just a tough sumbitch. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think the main issue for the team and the team direction is, it's like with every big champion in cycling. It's how to slow him down, how to keep him under control, because he wants to absolutely win a stage. He's obsessed. I know he's from people around him. He wants to win a stage. I think that's, he shouldn't think about that. He should just think about winning. But, George, you and I know what it is to try to keep, a guy with a big engine under control. It's not always easy.
Yeah, I think
it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. Could be worse problems. You could be education first. Are they even in the race?
And let's not forget, he's probably clear favorite for the time trial, so he could get his stage win up right away.
Damn good point.
There you go. Let's hope he wins the time trial. That would be great. He wins the time trial, so he has his stage win, and then his teammates can just do their job trying to control the jersey.
Yeah, it's like that old, the two bulls, the Papa Bull and the baby bull. Never mind.
Oh no.
Never mind.
Story,
exactly.
For the sake of time, we won't go into any deep questions here. We can on the next show, TheMove@WeDo.team. If you want to send an email, I'll just read a few comments from our preview show that I thought were fun. Thomas writes, writing off Sam Bennett again. When you eat your words on the next episode, I recommend a nice pint of Guinness to wash it down.
Amen.
Thomas, you got us on that.
Amen.
We got you.
And Steven writes, how in the hell does Johan remember all this shit? It's amazing. Right. True. And Dr. Merlot writes, I just want to remind you, this was again after our preview show. I just want to remind you that your analysis is wrong. Chris Froome is going to win. He will wipe the floor with all these guys on the climbs.
That's not happening.
Al, that ain't happening.
All right.
Anyway.
The move at WeDo.team. Send those questions. Okay?
Those are good. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Monday, right?
Next
rest day.
Yeah.
Next rest day. Okay. All right. Y'all have a good day.